Hello and welcome to episode 116 of the Dash News podcast. I'm Mark Mason and I'm joined by my fellow co-host Joel Valenzuela. Happy Friday, Joel.
Happy Friday to you too. Cheers.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week in Dash as always. And this podcast is a bit different. We're kicking it old school because normally, I think for the longest time now, we've always had a guest on. And I think this might be the first time on a podcast where it's just you, me, one-on-one.
Yeah,
pretty crazy,
you know
right?
What's interesting about that is we started this just as it was called the Three Amigos. We kind of call it a Dash News podcast rather than the Dash Force Three Amigos, whatever it used to be called before. It's funny because it was supposed to just be the three of us, shooting the crap, just whatever. And over time, people wanted on, and we started having bigger and bigger people on. Like not girthier and girthier people, but more important people on. And it just sort of snowballed into now it's like the interview show. And once in a while, it just helps to actually go back to the roots of things. And just because sometimes the thing with like the ramble is when I had some caffeine in my system, I love to ramble, just talk about everything. Oh my gosh, this happened, that happened, the other thing. And sometimes that's rude to guests because you're like, hey, Mr. So-and-so from this company, CEO, how's it going? And I'm just like, you know what I think? Blah, 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 blah. And this and that. People aren't, then they're just sitting there like, just kind of waiting for me to shut up. It's just like, all right, well, I came here to get kind of berated. So I don't have to be like, no. Well, let's bring the guest back into it. And now we don't have to worry about this. We are truly uncaged, unchained, unbanked. Wait, that's just me.
And then off the cuff, off the chain.
Yes, all of the appropriate things combined.
Yeah. So in the title to the podcast, we've put AMA, Ask Me Anything, because we haven't done this before, and it gives us a chance to actually interact with you. For those of you watching on YouTube in the live chat, so please feel free to ask some questions. We'll let the questions hopefully stack up, and while we're waiting for those, we can talk about some of the things happening in Dash this week. One of them being the Dash Core Group quarterly summary call Q2 for 2019, which I'm still digesting all that information. And Joel did a fantastic write-up on his big takeaways from that call. So I figured why you guys can start brainstorming what questions you'd like to ask us about anything, everything, but please try and keep it Dash related if possible.
I could do some takeaway right about now.
Yeah, yeah. I think we could. We can, because I've not actually had a chance to speak to you yet, really, about the summary call and what I took away might be you may have focused on other things. I mean, the biggest showstopper for me was when Bob Carroll was talking about how the testnet for devs would be live in December, right? So I think most people would like eyes lit up then, because we were told the DashPay DApp would come out after, right? After platform, because platform has to come out first. How did you react to that? Was you expecting that?
Yeah, I wasn't exactly expecting it that way. Everything's making a lot more sense over time. And whenever we heard about evolution, great, fantastic, all the hype over the years, it's been always like very interesting. Then I get glimpses into how it's going to be done. And then the glimpses are still vague. And I'm still like, okay, well, how are you going to do this? How are you going to run that? How's Dash Drive going to run? What are you going to deal with this? What about the data? How's it going to be stored here? And then, usernames. Oh, wow. Okay, well, how will you register usernames? Will there be a fee? And then they're just what people who have not had their nose like directly into this don't understand like all the hard work that's been hashed out. It's kind of like, and it kind of reminds me of the opposite of the Lightning Network. Whereas the Lightning Network was hyped forever about, this is going to be amazing, it's going to be amazing. And it finally kind of comes out, and then all its problems, issues, whatever, kind of happen mainnet and are like real time. People are like, how are you going to deal with this problem? Well, what happens when the fees go up to here, and then these channels close? How about this attack? Well, watchtowers, all this kind of stuff starts getting hashed out in real time on mainnet. Whereas with Dash, it just seems like, evolution is not out yet. But then under the surface, all like the actual work of like crunching together this system is like playing out. And so I'm just loving to see it actually come together. So for those uninitiated, evolution was originally meant to be usernames, contact lists, stuff like that, completely decentralized on the blockchain. Yay. But we realize is you can't just like add that feature onto Dash, the Bitcoin clone with a whole bunch of extra cool stuff. You can't. And over time, you started to realize that in order to make a thing, you had to create what kind of a thing it is. In other words, you're like, I have an idea. I'm going to make a delicious noodle stir fry. Oh, does that sound good right now, Mark?
Yeah, I have skipped dinner.
A delicious noodle stir fry. And then you realize that you don't know how to make noodles. And you're like, okay, well, or first off, you think of it this thing, you realize that the key component is noodles, and you just don't have them. So, what the funny analogy here is evolution or Dash Pay is to Dash Platform what delicious stir fry is to noodles. In that,
we need the sauce.
Yeah, we've been making the noodle. The sauce is going to be that
the special sauce.
Special sauce. It's going to be that extra little bit. But the Dash Platform is sort of like the noodles. You have to actually find out what the Dash Pay dApp is going to be built on. So before it was just Dash, and you just plug Evolution on top. And then you realize that you can't fit Evolution onto what exists. So you have to create the Dash Platform, which is a whole new infrastructure. And then the first add-on is this cool new username contact list app. So, ramble a little bit because I have another like 5 minutes worth of just straight monologue. And break it up for me first. Break it up for me first.
Yeah. So that was great. So we learned more about the Dash platform. There was a slide, and we also learned some new terminology which hasn't really been said to date, not to my knowledge. This was the first time we heard about this. The DPNS, Dash Platform Naming Service, which is pretty interesting. And the language that they used in the slide for the testnet, for developers, laying that groundwork, spin up your own DevNet, because they're saying, what will developers be able to do with this testnet? So it's interesting, and it makes sense. I mean, I know people get quite fixated on roadmaps and dates, but really we've already established it's the dApps and services built on the Dash platform is what's going to make it a success. So by having that dev testnet first is going to be so instrumental. I'd love to see more of information and deep dive in the future about this Dash platform naming service, which they said acts kind of like a DNS. And it's all to do with your registering and testing your identity, right? So yeah, I mean, that for me was pretty interesting because I wasn't expecting that. We was expecting updated roadmaps for Dash platform. But even when we had Dana on the podcast recently, given the intro to Dash Platform, Dash DAPI, Dash Drive, this is new terminology that we've not really heard of before, because we spoke about Dash Pay usernames. But Joel, as you established recently, when you interviewed Karen and other people, this whole identity aspect is so instrumental moving forward within Dash. Perhaps it's even more crucial than what we first thought, just thinking beyond a name, a picture, now it's like perhaps, home address and stuff as well, like all kinds of things. So it's really important we get this right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the biggest thing that I'm waiting for it to turn out fantastically. And I'm hoping, and I'm still nervous because it doesn't mean I'm nervous because I don't think it's going to be handled correctly. I'm nervous because it's the kind of thing that's very difficult to handle correctly and could have giant consequences. Because essentially, what we have now, so for example, what is your identity? What is your proof of self in, say, Bitcoin? What is it? I mean, you prove an address. People used to use Bitcoin addresses to sort of prove self. Like, this is me. I'll sign something with this address. Therefore, it's me. And then at some point, people started to realize, oh, this whole thing of like one static address is kind of like it's obscenely transparent, let's just say, to the point of where I don't want everyone to know every single transaction I've made with just a quick couple buttons in a block explorer. So eventually people came out with HD wallets or hierarchical deterministic wallets, which would be basically generates a whole bunch of different addresses and stuff. And then like the oh yeah, this is my identity. This is my hash, my key. I'm signing something with this address. It became a little bit more of a selective use case where now it's like if you're using a deposit address for something, or for example, if you just say like, hey, donate to my channel, here's the publicly transparent address of all the donations I get. And then just someone says like, well, how do we know you're still controlling it? And then you just sign the message live with that address. It still works, but it's just very limited. Now, first off, it helps to have one single source of identity behind all those different addresses that might create. So you can't necessarily see who sends and receives to that address, but also just something is workable. Like I had a Bitcoin address that I used starting in 2013. I used it for like 3 years straight until at some point I didn't get when HD wallets came around. I'm like, why do I have other addresses? It's sent to the wrong address. I want it all in this one. I didn't figure it out. But I like memorized the first half of it now just so I could like recognize, but that's just not workable. You gotta have an actual identity, actual little username that is combined with the whole thing. And especially when it becomes more than just send receive to, it's going to be very important. And let me just finish on this little point here. How many there was a comment on the post of the video, the interview I did with Karen Sue of Blockchain Intel, because she's saying about this helps blah 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 and identify fraud and things like that. And then we had a comment from our own Amanda B. Johnson about, well, what do you mean fraud? I didn't know fraud was possible on the blockchain. I thought that eliminated fraud. And yes, it does eliminate a lot of kinds of fraud, but there is in that sort of confusion state of like, whose address is that anyway? Any person can say, yeah, send it to this address is totally me. And then you can send to the wrong address because they kind of messed with you with that. And so just that, like, if someone sends you a random address, how often are you actually sure that that address is a legit address, that that's actually their address? You just have to trust whatever platform they're communicating with you on. But if you just have like, this is my verified username, and could send and receive to that username, and then you don't have to do that guesswork anymore. It becomes solid. So that's why it's like super important, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And in terms of identity that you were talking about as well, I've not had a lot of time to look into it because we've been working on other things. There's been loads of announcements this week, but I saw there was this kind of like Binance hack, and I saw these videos where people were showing all their KYC, like pictures of their passports and all this sorts of other stuff. That's really scary. And as Dash is such a, it started off as a very privacy-oriented community, right? When we started off with DarkSend, and where we are to today, which we've evolved into a whole new animal, really focusing on payments, but still keeping those original features and functionality and evolving them and improving them. But it just shows you how important identity is, and also the issue with trust. And now we're seeing even the exchanges, the big boys like Binance, getting ransomed by hackers and leaking all this information and data. And we've spoken about decentralized exchanges and stuff before, but people are really gonna have to trust this Dash Pay solution if it goes beyond your name, your photo, your contact list, and then even if you've got like a shipping address attached, and who knows what else could come with it based on what data contracts people create and for them to get used to. So like it's a very topical thing right now, because people are still talking about decentralized exchanges. We don't have them, but people are very concerned about KYC. And some of the, I know the Karen interview and the blockchain intel was a while ago, but the way the community responded to that was kind of interesting. Some were welcoming it, some weren't so much. And I mean, that's a whole other big conversation.
A lot of quietness around that. A lot of like, okay.
Just unease, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I can understand that though.
That kind of unease comes from, I would paint with a broad brush here, but basically saying, I don't fully understand this, but it makes me uncomfortable. That's kind of the general thing. And honestly, I had to deal with some annoying comments trying to clarify things, But I do believe that reaction is very heartening from the Dash community. I don't want to, yes, awesome, woo, Lambo, whatever gets on us on exchanges. No, don't want that. I also don't want that. Who cares? Helps exchanges, helps private, who cares about privacy? Definitely don't want that. And then on the very other extreme end of the spectrum, I don't want, well, screw regulators, screw everything. We're just say no to the man, because that shows a community that has its principles right, but doesn't know how to get this actually widely used. It was exactly the kind of thing where it's just like mostly, I don't know about this. This kind of seems sketchy. I kind of want my privacy. And then just like, but still like not, oh my gosh, burn them at the stake. So based on that, seeing where the Dash community is, I'm very pleased with that reaction.
Absolutely. And, you always want someone to help out. I mean, God forbid anyone lose their funds, but with breaches and stuff, with my Dash wallet, the web wallet recently, and other things going on, if you do find yourself at the result of a scam, because there are opportunists out there that will take advantage of you if they can, and will impersonate others. If that, if you do find yourself becoming a victim and losing like huge substantial amounts of money, having someone like Karen is essential, right? You're going to want people to help track those funds down regardless.
Yeah, although some people are afraid because they kind of don't know, they don't have a neat explanation for where they got those funds to begin with, and they don't want to involve the man in helping track it down and get it back to them, because the man is, according to suspicion, would be, well, the man is going to throw me in a cage because I can't, whatever. And so there's I don't have a direct answer for that, obviously, but from what I have heard, there's ways you could legitimize everything. And so rather than just lose it all, maybe you should try to get it back and then maybe give up whatever chunk back. It's a lot better than nothing, but that's just an opinion. I don't know. Who knows? If I lost stuff, I don't know if I'd go to the man about it. We'll see. It depends on how much it was. If it was going to leave me destitute, yeah. If it was like, someone swiped like, a big chunk, like a couple months paychecks worth, I'd be like, I don't know, man. Just let it go. Yeah.
So bringing it back to the quarterly summary call, that was my fault. We went off topic there for a second. But one of the things that we were kind of teased about before going into the summary call was about information coming out about two bit licenses exchanges. And obviously a bit license exchange is something quite major. So I was looking forward to the summary call, hoping was going to get a bit more information about that. But earlier on in the week, there was a blog post by Coinbase saying that they're considering adding Dash at some point in the near future with 7 other cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, they're investigating.
And obviously that really, I noticed there was a lot of optimism in the community, and people like perked up and they were happy. And then, of course, some of the questions in the Q&A were surrounding Coinbase. But like in terms of communication and stuff, there wasn't, obviously they couldn't confirm nor deny. There sounds like there have been some communications, but ultimately it's down to Coinbase to make that decision. But the one good, really, really good thing that came out was prior to that summary call with Dash Core Group CEO Ryan Taylor submitting a blog post to blog.dash.org about the regulatory and compliance of Dash with documentation, which can be used for business development exchanges, which shows from a regulation standpoint, Dash should be treated no differently to Bitcoin. And I mean, that document was much more substantial than what I was expecting. And and I think that's going to play a huge part in the future. So, Joel, what did you think about Ryan Taylor's post on the regulatory and compliance of Dash and Bitcoin?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was, it's very, so much ignorance everywhere, so much ignorance. And that includes in the crypto community, which goes towards a lot of the fears against, say, blockchain intel and other analysis stuff about that something's going to happen, that the technology will be compromised or some secrets which is not true. On the other side of thinking, all these dark privacy coins are all the same. Well, not only are they all the same, but that somehow by using them, it's just like evil drug money stuff. And it's not just a regular form of payments. So the way Dash maintains privacy presently is it takes regular old funds and then swaps them with a bunch of other people's funds all over the place So you can't really tell, you can't kind of break that linkage of transactions, and you just send like the mixed funds to the final destination. That is perfectly possible in Bitcoin. And there have been plenty of tumblers, mixers, other things. In fact, according to what Karen was telling me, 3 to 4% of all Bitcoin transactions are mixed or tumbled, which is makes it more private transactions happen on the Bitcoin network than happen on all the other privacy coins combined, probably. So that's what you should be looking at. But more importantly, people just they're already used to dealing with that. And the difference with Dash is Dash doesn't do something radically different from that. It does the exact same thing in just a much better and more polished and, more importantly, decentralized and risk-free way, to where if you have a Tumblr or something like that, generally speaking, you'd have to, at the best, trust like a centralized service or like an app that connects to a few different servers, maybe, that can have it do it like that. Or it would be like one server that actually connects all your funds. And then there's a bunch of different, basically rudimentary, crude, terrible, expensive, whatever ways of doing this. And Dash is just like makes it super easy for the exact same thing. So that's what the post is basically clarifying is, look, number one, this is perfectly doable on Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash in particular has been making a big deal out of the cash shuffle thing, which is not something that Bitcoin Cash itself can actually do, but it's something that can be done with Bitcoin Cash. And it's essentially the same thing. I would argue inferior, but still the same type of thing that Dash does. So number one, everything can do this. You don't put Dash in a separate category, regulatorily speaking, because it shouldn't be. And two, there's actual reasons why you'd legitimately want to obscure transactions. Just think about it. You don't want to pay anyone and just see, you don't want to just buy your coffee and just, now the merchant at the till or whatever, he's looking into it and he is able to see how much money you have. And then he conspires to then, next time you come in for a coffee, have someone like be in on someone mugging you and taking your stuff or something like that. Because if you swipe your bank card, they don't know how much you have. So the second thing is basically establishing privacy as a basic human right and a basic tenet of financial transactions, that all of them should have privacy unless you're making some large, like super publicly transparent move, like say a donation or something to a nonprofit.
So from an exchange point of view, and it's interesting, I'm really happy that you mentioned about the other coins that use the CoinJoin mixing service, that they're actually having to use third-party trusted services, but with Dash, it's built in at protocol level, which is, this is actually safer within itself, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like this has all been about education. I believe the number of private send transactions on Dash only makes up like 1% right now. Yet all this time where it seems where people just misunderstood private send, but private send is the digital cash aspect. And why, some people in the past have said we should just have private send transactions by default, only private send transactions. Some people have pointed out saying, well, you can do, but you always have to have the option of having public transactions for businesses and purchases and things like this. If Dash is really to become digital cash and to be really used, then there's a need for both digital cash and Dash. And there's this long time question in the community: should private send really be renamed? Because really, it's cash.
Send.
Yeah, like because it's fungibility, right? So like that's going to be an interesting conversation moving forward. But I do believe that private send name tag has been a massive barrier to entry to us for some of these exchanges, because they go like, whoa, but this document, I mean, I wish we had it before. I'm so happy we've got it now. And I think that will really go a long way to opening new doors, because you can't really criticize what Dash can do. And it's all on the blockchain. As Joel said, it mixes it, but it's all open to see. And it just obfuscates the origin, right? Because it's mixing up with other people. So, and just like if Joel gave me a $10 bill, right? And then if I went to spend it somewhere else, they wouldn't know. I mean, we all know. I mean, like, and I'm sure most people watching this know it, but
or a 500 Bolivar bill.
But like, it's been a frustration thing. I remember towards the end of last year, there was lots of articles about Japan and stuff wanting to, blacklist Dash because they had privacy concerns and list us with other privacy coins. But it was just the education. They just weren't informed on what it is. And it's kind of the scary thing. And I feel like actually it's always been about education. So this blog post by Ryan Taylor was very welcome. And that article, I think every DFO, not just Dash Core Group, doing business development, whether it's new integrations, partnerships, not just exchanges, this is really going to help us moving forward.
Yeah, I think so. And that whole private send by default thing is a very interesting concept, because I kind of think that's the way it should be, to where, because you do kind of want to monitor. I like being able to analyze the blockchain, to be able to see how many coins there are in circulation, how many are being sent, what's the total value that's being moved around, what's the median transaction value, like all these kind of actual metrics to know that something funny isn't going on. That's essential to a blockchain. You could still have that if every single transaction would be private. Now, what you don't have is easy linkability between the actual transactions. What you do have is, if there's a major movements of funds, you can still kind of trace. You can't necessarily link them, but you can kind of see, well, a whole bunch of Dash got mixed and got moved, and a bunch starts showing up over here. You can kind of, before you could kind of prove it, you could kind of link the funds. Then you'd be able to just kind of still see a suspicion, and then you could investigate further, say get warrants or something to actually, do stuff. But in the future, I mean, right now, the transparency thing is by default, so that anyone can just click of a button, and like anyone can just look at a block explorer and see where all the money's been going, pretty much, especially if they have advanced analytics. Now, in the future, say everything was done via private send, you probably have to then actually go to parties involved and just say, yo, I want you to export your username's transaction history here and show, prove it to me so that you can show that you've been paying everything okay. And then it's kind of that, like, it's still auditable privately, but not just by anyone at any time at anywhere, so they can just see your whole transaction history. And the same thing for now, you can do a transparent send where it just goes beep and you just see big chunk of money moved here, you can actually see it. So that's when you're trying to prove to someone, look, this is what I'm doing. You can kind of move it. Now, the technical challenge, though, and this is something I brought up with Ryan about mobile private send, is he said a big barrier to implementing that previously was you'd have to have it always running in the background. And so it'd just be mixing, and it would just be draining your phone, killing your bandwidth, just like always on to just be constantly mixing. And so he said that basically the instant send by default was a giant prerequisite to making this actually feasible, to where now you can actually go zip, and mix everything, and instantly, instead of mix, all right, let's wait on some confirmations, all right, next round, mix. It's so something like that would have to happen. Now, the part of what makes Dash cool is it just instant. Now, if everyone had to do private send and you didn't have an existing balance, so you received, like, someone sends you your first Dash to your phone, you want to instantly respend it, it's got to mix first before you can go and instantly do that. And so probably it's going to be a thing where I would say, in a perfect world, I'd like to see like a 50-50 kind of thing. Half of all purchases, you put in your little cash wallet, it goes zip, and you do other payments other ways, and you kind of do a balance between those.
So a Dash and a digital cash balance.
Yes, exactly. That's what I like.
Yeah, I would love that as well. And I can see the problems with the mobile phone, because we've spoke about this at length on many podcasts as the ultimate solution and goal. We want to go out and spend things. I just want to move on to something else. One of the things I wasn't anticipating from the summary call, which I think took the community all by surprise, was actually a business development. Not so much an announcement, but it was kind of like, oh yeah, there's this. And everyone was just like, what? How do we not know about this? And of course, I'm referring to the gaming integrations. I believe there was a slide with between 20 to 25 gaming sites. So there could be sports betting sites or gambling, but we'll just say gaming integrations. And some of those were very, are quite big, substantial websites. And just so before we get asked in the live chat, we have actually got that list from the Dash Core Group BizDev team, and Albert. Discover Dash, bless his heart. He's now going through those, verifying them as well, downloading the actual applications as well, and then we're hopefully going to get them listed on Discover Dash very soon. But yeah, Joel, like this is fantastic, because we've been talking about Dash and gaming, but really when we're talking about exchanges with instant send, withdrawals, and deposits, and getting other exchanges to come up to speed, when you think about these sports betting websites and gaming and casino type websites, Dash is perfectly suited, right, for that. So it is another, it's a use case. We've heard the biz dev team talk about this before, identifying other industries such as the legal cannabis industry, but this is the first time I've actually really seen Dash on a number of gaming sites. So I mean, that was a surprise to me. Was it a welcome surprise to you?
The application is not a surprise. What does surprise me as people kind of taking notice. So for example, right now, in order to recognize Dash as instant, you have to integrate it properly and not just integrate it as a Bitcoin clone, because otherwise you'll still be waiting for those blockchain confirmations. So it must have been, here's my theory, it must have been a pain point. It must have been because most people, they're like, oh, I'm going to go buy a gift card from BitRefill and go spend it at some store around me. Most people would be okay sending a Bitcoin Cash, whatever else transaction, and just waiting like 10, 15, 20 minutes for a confirmation, and then they get it, and then they can go spend it. Most people aren't like time pressed for that. They're not going to notice that. Most people, oh, I'm going to buy a flight on Cheap Air with Litecoin, heaven forbid. You go send your payment, 2.5, 5 minutes go by, and it's just like, all right, it went through. Like, what? You're not going to just be like waiting to board the plane for it to get through. Like, come on, can you hurry it up? Like, no one cares. But it must have been with these gaming sites. People were like, I want to just deposit money and start playing right now, and I want to move it out right now and go play at the other one or something. There must have been people being like, come on, can this be faster? And then they're like, well, we're doing our best. And then they actually have to list confirmation times for other coins, to where now it's like, well, with Bitcoin, it could be this time. For Bitcoin Cash, it could be for Litecoin, for Dogecoin. I'm sure Dogecoin must be popular on those. But they're starting to see, they start to list, and then they'd be like, oh, I heard that Dash is doing better, or I heard Dash is fast. Oh, really? And they start researching it. One site recognizes instant send. And then they're like, Dash instant, everything else not. And then they say, please use Dash because it makes our customer experience better and it makes fewer complaints. And so the customers start using Dash on that. And now it's like, oh, cool. And then next betting site says, oh, the competitor said this, I'm going to look into it. And then before you know, it's like a domino effect. And I do think that that's going to be the Dash path to victory, so to speak, is not just innovating, because no one cares about innovation. So let me be super jaded about that. No one cares. It's going to be when people get to what they want to do. They're faced with a task they want to complete, and then it just does not work. And then they start getting upset, and then they have to switch to Dash. That's going to be when it's going to happen. But yes, I was surprised a little bit at how many sites had started to not only integrate Dash Instant Send, but mentions their preferred deposit type, etc.
Yeah, like I think this is great, and I really hope people stop. Well, I don't want to encourage gambling on the gambling sites, but I can understand why. I mean, it's not something I've done a lot, but when I was a bit younger and I had more hair, I used to go to the pub on the weekends and watch the football, or the soccer, as you say in the States. And it's really commonplace for people to open up their phones and bet on their favorite football teams and stuff. But like, they're always offering these promotions, like get extra credit if you deposit. But I've noticed from my experience, I'm going back a few years, it may have changed now, but any winnings or any withdrawals on some of these sites, they always go to pending and they need to approve it before they do the withdrawal. Right. So that may not be the case on all of them. So, yeah, I think this would be interesting. And I'm kind of curious to see how much cryptocurrency just flows through these sites. And if it is the preferred method, really interesting. So, yeah, I'm curious. And also, I'd love to hear some of your guys' feedback on that. And if you've actually used any of those sites yourself, because some of them, I think BetDSI was one of them. I mean, like, some of those sites are very substantial.
Yeah, our old buddy Chael Sonnen is always pimping them.
Yeah, I mean, these are big integrations. So it's just it was just like, oh yeah, and we got these. It's like, oh my god, like yeah, I think it deserves its own article and stuff in itself. But yeah, let's check it out and get feedback from the community first.
We'll also have to get extra data on usage and things like that. But all we have to do is start setting up these kinds of on ramps. Now, in terms of like sports betting and stuff, I have no idea how that industry works. I'm not a gambler. I'm just sorry. I don't. The worst I've ever done is a 50-50 raffle at church. Don't ask, long story. So it is a story for the after party. So if you're in there, I'll tell you about Church of the Sword, but that's something else. Anyway, what we got is if there are severe pain points with that, it might be worth putting out an ad or things like that, or directly approaching what people watching, say, fantasy sports or things like that. And so, for example, say you're watching MMA fights like I do. Yay, I know BetDSI as I'm betting on that stuff. So if you're wanting to bet on that and you're like, oh, my pain point is I just can't get the money in and out quick and I just can't do it. They're going to want crypto. Specifically, they're going to want a Dash. And you can just put an ad, say, tired of waiting, use digital cash, blah, blah, blah. Go to uphold.com, sign up for an account, buy some. That might be too much for a lot of people. But if you sell someone who's a hardcore person on this, just say, go to dash.org/betting. And then people go there and has a page about exactly how to get set up and exactly how it works and all the money you save and all the other things like that. Especially if you start getting services start offering discounts because of less friction, and then you get an avenue. And that's really the goal. That's really where we're getting with Dash, is make it super easy and frictionless, of course. But then we start creating these avenues that all you have to do is just wake people up, stop, wake up, and then push them in that direction. Go buy, and then before you know it, they're just digital cash users, and it just grows and grows and grows. And people, and I'm okay with the use case of Dash of moving their Bitcoin. Like, people want cryptocurrencies as safe havens, and they will use Bitcoin as a safe haven if it's large enough. And if they see a crash coming, the stock market's crashing, and you better put it all on Bitcoin, hope it goes up, hedge into Bitcoin. And then eventually they're like, well, how do I spend my Bitcoin now? How do I move it out? They might just use a site like they just might use what was that site?
The swap one.
Yes, my memory is just so short that even stuff that I was like writing about is like an hour or two ago is completely out of my mind. But Swap Space, shout out to them because they integrated Dash. I'm not endorsing the product, whatever. It's just I wrote about them integrating Dash today, and I just remembered because they have like a little quick marketplace for ways you could switch crypto to crypto like instantly, and so you can find like the best deal. So people will start using something like Swap Space and just be like, look, I need to make a lot of transactions with this Bitcoin. I don't want to sign up for a new thing. I don't want to do the big AML KYC nonsense. I just want to, especially people who've just been buying Bitcoin with their cash all the time, and they don't necessarily go to ATM, put $100 of each paycheck they get into Bitcoin or something. And then they're like, well, now I need to actually send it around and use it. And it's just a nightmare. Yeah. Go to SwapSpace, swap out some for Dash at the best rate you can find, and then just use the Dash to send around. Dash is a great off-chain scaling solution for Bitcoin, as it turns out. And I personally believe that something as secure as Dash that has the same properties as Bitcoin, except is more secure and has a more limited supply and other things, will ultimately become a better store of value. But I'm satisfied if that doesn't happen for a very long period of time, in which case, if that, you can store your value in Bitcoin and switch it into Dash and actually use it. And that can be a very fantastic use case.
Yeah, I'm actually happy you mentioned about switching up from Bitcoin to Dash, because I've got an opinion on this, and it's probably not going to be to everyone's liking, but there is logic behind it. So before anyone goes to town, just hear me out first. So more often than not, we are justifying Dash to the crypto sphere, people already in the crypto world, and we have to be honest with ourselves. Right now, on CoinMarketCap, let me look quickly, Bitcoin dominance is 69.8%, nearly 70%, right? So people are already using Bitcoin, and we know the market is mostly speculative, right? So they've really bought onto the digital gold store of value. Now, Dash, in terms of the total market cap, I checked a few days ago, is like 0.3% of the entire market cap. So really, I have no issue right now if people choose to use Bitcoin as their digital gold store of value, as opposed to keeping it in the traditional fiat dinosaur banker fiat world, right? I would prefer them to use Bitcoin than that. However, what I would say to those Bitcoiners, my message is that fine, if you want to use Bitcoin as digital gold, absolutely. But if you want to take that full control and become your own bank, you need to be able to do everyday payments as well. So if you want to do everyday payments, then switch it up to Dash. So if you want to use Bitcoin as digital gold, great. If you want to use become your own bank and do your own payments, everyday payments, Dash is digital cash. So they go hand in hand. So there's no reason for Bitcoiners to feel threatened by Dash, and there's no reason for Dash to go after Bitcoin saying we're a better store of value and everything else, because
not necessarily short term, at least. At some point, things might come to a head where, like, for example, Bitcoiners, a lot of them started to hate Ethereum when it came close to flipping Bitcoin in market cap for a brief shining moment. And people are, oh my gosh, such a threat. And you just have to be ready for that when it happens. It's kind of the same thing with, say, Bitcoin Cash. I have a generally very positive opinion of the project, and I view us as more friends than competitors. At some point, when you're like down to that, like who's better, there might be a little bit more friction, but it is what it is.
Well, that's how I would feel, because I did tweet out this recently, like, why Bitcoin Cash when you can Dash? Because there's so many forks of Bitcoin, including Dash itself. But like I said, the majority of the market right now is in Bitcoin. But if they want to spend it, then they need a digital cash solution, which means really right now, in that top 100 crypto coin market cap on crypto market cap, I'm just looking at, so I get my words out.
A community member via Discord, staydashy.com, Dash Talk Discord, that one, said, tell Mark that Bitcoin is not digital gold, like with a lot of capital letters in there.
I knew I'd get some reaction, but like I said, we have to understand what the market is, and we can't dismiss that nearly 70, Bitcoin's nearly got 70% dominance, and Dash only has 0.3 market cap value right now. But look, I don't think anyone would deny the majority of the market right now is speculative. People aren't really spending, right? Not as much as we would like. We need to get to that stage, but we're not there just yet. But my message is to Bitcoiners is that if you want to make payments and stuff, it makes sense to use a digital cash solution like Dash.
Yes. All right. We've been rambling for a long time. We have to finish on the call, on the quarterly call based recap stuff. And then, because we got a lot of questions I've been kind of backing up on. But another thing that's important is, so all the integrations, the other thing is, before the Dash Core group focused on the U.S.-Mexico remittance corridor specifically, because it's so big, because it's so close, all that kind of stuff. Now, for the longest time, until recently, there was no good fiat on-ramps, off-ramps for Dash in Mexico. Now there is. KuboBit, the Mexican exchange, recently integrated Dash trading pairs. Yay! But now Dash Core Group has expanded their official business development strategy to broader Latin America, to Brazil, to Colombia, to Venezuela, of course, especially in countries where you can actually spend the crypto directly. You can spend the Dash directly, so you don't have to buy, send, and then sell. There's not those 2 fee points that you can knock down. This one, 1.25% on Uphold, flat fee, no withdrawal fee anymore, and then just send that, and then they spend it where it is, and it's all good. So that's one thing. There's another thing in there about they're going to be doing a marketing call in September, which I'm looking forward to, which I didn't heard about, but I want to get on that, of course. And part of that, they're going to unveil their strategy of how to empower the community to help. Now, Dash has a huge community, not giant, because obviously it's not like the very top of the crypto market caps right now, but it has, compared to any other coin in anywhere reasonably close to that ranking, it's got a huge community. And it's time to weaponize that community, so to speak, by putting it to work doing other things. So this is going to be something I'm very much looking forward to. Now, is that it for the call? Is there anything else?
The only other thing, which was
Coinbase and stuff, right?
Yeah, well, we kind of spoke about Coinbase.
We'll get to that in the end because there's some questions about that. What else was on the?
Well,
on the
it
call?
wasn't major, but one thing I wasn't expecting was that Glenn Austin, CFO, mentioned that they took out a loan to build up their credit score, and it wasn't something I was kind of prepared for. Obviously, that I know they've got expenses and stuff that they have to make within USD, but like I was hoping for a more official answer on why they've done that. But I know
the loans. I could think of a million reasons why a company would want a credit history, just like an individual would. I don't know what they're specifically looking for, but every kind of reevaluation of structures and things like that Dash Core Group has done lately has impressed me in terms of building up legal structures for the Dash DAO Irrevocable Trust and the Dash Investment Foundation. Top notch, good stuff. Figuring a nice, responsible way to build up fiat buffers so they can make it through unexpected dips and great. Like hiring freezes, other stuff, like just all the kind of things they've been doing. So when it comes to, we're going to build up a credit score, like, I don't know that, but I'm trusting it's probably going to be a good thing. What else we got to finish the call?
Well, there wasn't
part.
Okay. Well, there was. I've got something else in my mind, but it's not. It wasn't summary call related.
All right.
But
so
it was something that happened this week. But
summary call related. First off, did Bob say anything about documentation, tutorials, or support for developers as far as Dash platform coming to testnet this year? I faintly remember something like that. Yes, that there was something about basically when they're talking about the whole, be able to spin up your own DevNet, test your own dApps on testnet, like that whole open thing will come with documentation. And that was what I assumed. Don't quote me on that because I don't remember the specific wording and stuff. But if not, well, we're going to start yelling at them because they need that. We need to get as many people piling on the, as we'll call it, the evolution testnet, Dash platform as possible. Now, when you go down to, someone was talking about Coinbase. I don't remember where it's saying like, when are we getting on Coinbase? Why not Dash on Coinbase? All that kind of stuff. Who knows? It's a private business. They do their things privately. They do their own stuff. I have heard rumors. And so what Ryan was basically saying on the call was they're being a little bit more transparent about their selection process, what cryptos they're looking at, so they can avoid accusations of insider trading and stuff, which happened when Bitcoin Cash got added. That there was always a big drama about something. And so there was something about, there were people trading it ahead of time. Who knows? All those kinds of investigations, whatever. So just to make sure it's above board, they're kind of doing that. And basically, he was saying that the two, and this doesn't apply to Coinbase specifically, but applies to exchanges in general, is the two hurdles to getting on exchanges, the regulatory concerns for Dash were, first off, is it considered a security? Because you can kind of buy Dash and then you can use it to control a stake in the network. And basically, according to what they've been able to determine, that's no longer a concern. No one seems to be concerned about that anymore. The second one is privacy coin. Is this going to be allowed by regulators because you can obscure transactions? And that's why the second big push that they've been starting to do, including that blog post about to educate why it's not a problem, is a thing. So basically, those two might have been the hurdles to Dash being added in the past. Now, my own speculation added to that, I have heard some third-party stuff about, there's a lot of crypto OGs in Coinbase, and a lot of them were just like, not into, like they bought the Dash is a scam hype from back in the day and stuff, and they're just kind of, I don't know about that. So they might have to wait until they have less and less positions of power in the company before something will happen. That's just something else I heard. So,
Interesting.
and as far as like Victor T says, is there a roadmap yet for the Evolution release? Yes, and we've kind of covered this a million times. Look at the roadmap, all that kind of stuff. Essentially, what they're hoping for. So let's see: January, February, March, April, May, June. It's Q2. We're in July, August. We're almost done with Q3. July, August, September is the last month of Q3. Basically, what they said was they anticipate Dash platform, which is essentially Evolution, on testnet in Q3. And what they're not going to do is to say how long is it going to be on testnet before it's on mainnet, because that's highly dependent on bugs and other things they got to figure out. And it's kind of irresponsible to provide a semi-accurate estimate. So essentially Q3, so October, November, December of this year, you will have it on testnet. Now, what that translates to is, yes, Evolution out this year. The nuance in that is Evolution, as widely understood before, was just usernames contact us in a wallet. That is now Evolution is because started to mean now Dash platform, which enables that. It's kind of like what does it encompass to mean? So Dash platform definitely out. As far as the actual Dash Pay app with the usernames and contact lists out on mainnet, could be the end of this year. Could also not be. And we get into this point of frustrations of, we heard this thing called Evolution. When is it going to be out? First off, when you make a promise that you're going to work towards something, eventually you start running into reality and you start figuring out, well, now I actually know how I'm going to deliver it. And then you start making more precise predictions. But also, what Evolution has shifted radically. And just think about what we've gotten out this year. We've gotten version 0.13, instant send by default, a bunch of extra improvements. Now we got long living masternode quorums, instantly respendable instant send, split key masternodes, ability to do trustless private send, and chain locks, which chain locks was supposedly going to be collateralized mining, which is going to be several years down the road. And now it just got prioritized sooner. There's been so much extra. So by the time we get to Evolution, it's going to be so much more evolved than everything else that we've been thinking of. So that kind of answers that. Is there a roadmap? Yes. Look at the quarterly call. There's some slides in there, and it actually has like this Dash paywall. What about this, that? When exactly those pieces are coming out is kind of, the estimates are kind of there.
And you can watch that at dashnews.org, and the video for the summary call is included in Joel's article, My Big Takeaways from the Dash Call Group Summary Call Q2 2019. So you've got no excuses. Dash News has got you covered.
Is that the end? Is that the end of the call related questions?
Yeah,
I think it is.
Yeah.
Let me just hit one more. Where did I get this cool shirt? I'm assuming, Mark, what's your shirt?
It's just the best of all.
Well, first, where did you get your cool shirt?
I get mine custom made, if I'm honest. And anyone can do it. You can go to the branding, the official branding on dash.org, and you can download all the logos, and then you can go. Everyone's got local t-shirt printers close to them, but even if not, you can do it remotely and just go on eBay and just find a seller that prints t-shirts pretty cheaply and just send them the logo.
Yeah.
No excuses.
So, to answer this one,
wow,
a really cool shirt that says 1984 is not an instruction manual. I got that from the WikiLeaks shop, and I paid in Dash. WikiLeaks.shop. You can buy it, pay in Dash. They got a lot of cool swag. Support the cause too if you support it. Now, next question. I'll just let Mark go on this one first. Do you see Bitcoin Cash as a competitor to Dash?
Yes, I think they're our main competitor, if I'm honest. When you look at grassroots efforts and onboarding,
serious competitor, at least.
on merchants and stuff, we want to be a payment solution. I can't really take Bitcoin seriously right now, even though they've got dominance. I don't see
as a payment system.
The Lightning Network, from what I've seen, isn't right. And from what we've discovered in the after party, my experience of seeing it and open up that payments channel, which takes 6 confirmations, that can take 2 hours. And I just don't think, in terms of a payment solution that you'd use every day, the Lightning Network isn't there for me just yet. So that puts that out the way. Bitcoin SV seems to work in terms of technically functional, but it seems like they don't have the merchants or anything to back it up. They haven't got the same ground game that others have.
And to be honest, with SV, it seems like they're pivoting to a store of data kind of blockchain of like, let's run dApps on it. Like the actual send receive money, buy shit. Doesn't seem to be like they're really focusing on that right now.
Yeah, and it's strange. I mean, now this may upset people as well, but I actually respect Roger.
Go ahead, upset everyone.
Because, even Evan, our founder, was originally a Bitcoiner. Those early adopters in Bitcoin got frustrated with the whole debate, not just on the governance issue, but just what we really got into. We thought this was going to be the money revolution, and we want this. We thought this was going to be money that we could spend. And then when we ran into those scaling issues and those fees, it wasn't really a thing. Now, I made the jump to Dash before there was a Bitcoin Cash, right? But if Dash didn't exist,
years before.
If Dash didn't exist and Evan never created it, I would have moved from Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash, because they are the only other payment solution. So that's why I respect Roger, because fundamentally the things that I disapproved of or got me frustrated, I would have transitioned over that. Thankfully, Dash came first, but a lot of the merchant solutions that the ground teams that the Bitcoin Cash people are using, because they're doing merchant videos and stuff as well, they're using a lot of point of sale solutions that include Dash as well. So their efforts actually onboard us. So I'm actually confident.
And vice versa.
Yeah, I'm confident in.
Sometimes vice versa.
I'm confident in Dash being technically superior in terms of decentralized governance, self-funding as well, and what we can achieve, because I believe we're a more community-led project. The community decides our own fate, our own destiny. And so just based on that alone, it ticks other boxes. But ultimately, with Dash, I have the confidence in our solution. So even if we are on other POS solutions around the world, because if you're a business, you're going to want to accept as many different payment methods as possible. We need to make sure Dash is as strong that you'd want to use. And the best thing, Joel, that I saw this week wasn't Ryan Taylor's blog post, although I was very thankful for it. And I think it's been very useful. And it wasn't the Dash summary call. It was it was all thanks to a Dash community member called Dandy, who posted a video from Serbia. And not everyone has 5 smartphones in their household, but he does. And he showed the power of Dash, right? So he showed the power of Dash in a short video where he sent the full balance to 5 phones in a row, instantly confirmed and instantly respendable. I don't think you can do that with digital cash right now. You can send and get it confirmed, but you can't instantly respend. So do I think Dash is better in terms of cash, digital cash? Yes, absolutely. Dash is superior with that regard, because if you get cash and someone gives you something, just like someone gives me £5, £10, £20, I want to be able to turn around and instantly spend it, right? And that's what Dash digital cash is meant to be. That's what electronic cash is meant to be. And right now, I don't believe Bitcoin Cash meets that mark. So is it digital cash? Not in the same respect.
Not yet. And they're trying their hardest with in addition to something called Cash Shuffle, which is meant to imitate private send in a less protocol level way. But generally speaking, as far as like the Dash playbook, it seems like Bitcoin Cash is coming along just nicely. And it's not like a smack talking move to say that they're copying us, because Dash has existed before Bitcoin Cash existed, and most Dash adoption efforts predate those, and Dash privacy predates it, and a way to make more secure instant transactions predates. So it's chicken or egg, which came first, right? It's pretty obvious, but it's based on what Bitcoin Cash is doing. It appears to be Bitcoin Dash. They're following a lot of the good stuff that Dash has done. So yes, I would see them as the main competitor. They seem to be doing a lot of the same things, and that seems to be it. Now the next one. What are the current transaction levels on remittance path between Colombia and Venezuela? I'm just going to answer that really quick. First off, no one knows because that's part of digital cash. Anyone can buy it. Anyone can send it home. Anyone in Venezuela who sees a way to spend it can phone up their homie in the US or wherever else and just say, hey, can you go Uphold, do this? Can you go to an ATM, buy some and send it to me? Here's how you do it. Oh, can you do my buddy in Spain? Can you go to BitNovo and buy a little voucher and send it to my little Dash Text account and I go use it here? Anyone can do that, so you can't know. I do believe that Dash Latam was doing some sort of specific remittance thing, so I would probably contact them directly. And next question, and then I'll let Mark get in on this a little bit more. A user was detailing how apparently he lost some funds recently. They were stolen. Very unfortunate. Very sorry for you. Anyway, the question is, are there companies or people out there to help me get my crypto back? Blockchain Intel. Look into them. They should be able to help you. All right. Blockchain Intel. I do not have personal experience using it in order for that purpose. I don't think I've ever gotten stolen from in terms of crypto. I have had cash stolen off me before, but that was many years ago. Blockchain Intel. Now let me go down to the next one. Could you share a list of game sites that accept Dash? As I already answered in text, I believe. If you go to dashnews.org and scroll down to where it says my big takeaways from the Dash Core team Q2 2019 summary call, open that and there's a screenshot in there of those gaming platforms. And I'm sure when we get them added to Discover Dash, we will start to we will start to have like a different category, etc., for things you can go to if we don't already. But in the meantime, just look at that. That's a good screenshot of some of the ones right there. All right, where are we with questions? Mark, did you happen to see one? Are you further down there than I am?
No, I'm at the bottom. I just seen Chuck Williams in. Hello, sir. Salute. Love you, Chuck. All value is belief.
Haven't watched it all, but what's the one thing you should know? Well, Chuck E. Cheese over there. Chucky Cashew Cheese. The big thing is, as we reiterated, Dash platform out on testnet Q4 this year, and people will be able to go make their own testnet dApps in just a couple months now. And you'll be able to go and do that. So I know you're a developer, Chuck. I know you're fantastic. Start building the best testnet dApps, because whenever Dash platform hits mainnet, I don't want us just be twiddling around and be like, oh, we have this high-powered, awesome platform, and then we just get a contact username wallet. That's pretty great. But then that's it. Let's come out with a splash. Let's just have dApp City. Take us down to the dApp City. Can you do that for us, Chuck?
I hope so. And also as well, earlier on, I referenced the video from Dash community member Dandy with the 5 phones doing the instant respendable. If you want to see that video, if you go to the YouTube channel of Dash News, I posted a video explaining what's happening in the background, and it's called How Fast is Dash Digital Cash? And you can watch it. The video uploaded by Dandy, as he's based in Serbia, is silent. So I'm just explaining what it is and why it's so beneficial, not only to users, not only to merchants, but exchanges and traders as well. Because even if you are a cryptocurrency trader, this is why I think we should see more Dash pairs with all the cryptocurrencies. And it should be a primary trading pair for these cryptocurrency exchanges, because Dash being instantly confirmed and instantly settled with transaction fees for less than a penny, less than a cent, it makes it the perfect vehicle for arbitrage trading opportunities. So I hope exchanges and traders will see that, and also as well for users and merchants, being instantly respendable, instantly settled is so fundamental. It sounds really simple, but when you look out there, no one else can do it right now. So Dash is, we've got this right now, and I'm sure other Masternode projects will implement chain locks down the line, but as it stands right now, Dash is the innovators. We're the pioneers. Stick to the innovators, not the imitators. Dash is leading the way, and right now it's all about being instantly respendable.
That's a great little hype pitch right there. Now, I did another question. When will Dash go north of $1,000? Oh God, who knows? No one knows this stuff. I've heard some people making very strong, specific price predictions, which is It's all voodoo. I mean, let's be honest. You can kind of watch market indicators, be like, well, relative to this and that, and this seems like a good projection, but there's just so many variables. You're predicting what the market will value things. You're predicting economic activity, and economics is all human action. And if you can accurately predict the actions of thousands, if not millions or billions of humans with that kind of precision, there is no free will. And yeah, I'm not a Lutheran. So sorry for that little comment. Now to play off of some comments that weren't necessarily questions. Here we go. We grew while Bitcoin was much higher in terms of market dominance, usefulness, use cases, period. That's an interesting thing to talk about, because we had a couple articles about this. Market share, it's clear that Bitcoin's taken the lead. In terms of transactions, though, just about every other major project has been growing while Bitcoins have become stagnant. And I looked at some recent Lightning Network growth statistics, and it does not look like, it looks like it's receding. It looks like Lightning Network is crashing. So that's not a big hype. Oh my gosh, Lightning's dead. Who knows? We don't know. But we do know that some stats seem to say Bitcoin's flat and all usage is growing across the other ones. Now, at the same statistics have also seemed to show that the median transaction value has been going way down for these. So that means that Bitcoin seems to be used for larger transfers. And when people want to use smaller transactions, they're using other coins. One more, and then Mark can start playing on a few. After my hack happened, it has made me question crypto when you have to be so careful. Getting offline wallets, keeping separate computer just for crypto. Is this for the masses? Answer: absolutely, it's for the masses. Eventually, is it for the masses today? I would, without some very strong educational tools, I would not recommend average people just start to use it without just jump into using it. I tell people, don't do this, don't do that. When I set them up with a wallet, they're like, oh, seed words. You just screenshotted it. No, now everyone has it. Don't do that. Start over. Delete the wallet. When evolution comes around, when you have Dash platform, you have all kinds of dApps, specifically when you have username, password based setup and some easy recovery options, etc., then it will be for the masses. But let's flip it to the other side. Hacks of identity and data are happening all the time. I believe I've written at least a half dozen articles for Dash News alone on all the giant data breaches, whether it's Marriott Hotel Group, British Airways, of course, the great Equifax hack, I forget what the name was, some restaurant group.
Capital One.
Capital One is the most recent one. Everyone's getting their stuff stolen. Everyone's getting their identities leaked out there. And a lot of that includes credit card numbers, which means people are able to go make payments and stuff. And if you don't get that in time, not everyone's able to reverse those transactions, and it causes chaos. So it makes me ask, are credit cards really ready for are credit cards really for the masses? All right, your turn, Mark.
Questions?
Questions or playing off of some of these comments in here.
I just see one question, which is a bit controversial.
I love those.
It just said, why do you guys ignore the trend of masternode funds getting stolen through TeamViewer from people imitating prominent community members? So I think this is relating to a case that happened on Discord. So a vulnerability of Discord is that you can pay for Nitro, which gives you extra abilities. Discord is a community type app where you can message people, and we use it as a community channel. But if you pay for Nitro, you can use the avatar of someone else and actually use the name as well of someone else, and you can trick people as well. And I think this really comes down to user responsibility. We've got to be so careful. And there are opportunistic people out there that will really just try to take you to the cleaners. And there is some sense of common sense, but I do think there is awareness as well. And it kind of relays back to the blockchain intel conversation I was having conversation with earlier. You know, a lot of people hate the reporting aspect, but if you do find yourself a victim of these crimes, you need services like this where you can actually find or have the option to try and track down these people to try and recover funds or just see what's happened and gone on. There was an instance with that chap in Israel, right, where his roommate tried to steal a substantial amount of Dash, and these are criminal activities. These are our bank accounts and people are stealing them. So there has to be a level of individual responsibility when you're doing this, and especially if you're going to screenshot with someone and these things, I would say to the community, if you're watching this now, it doesn't matter if you're using Slack, Discord, Reddit, anything. If you're asking someone for help, and if it's to do with your wallet or any concerns like that, go to dash.org, and there is a support page where you've got tickets, and you can actually speak to dash.org team members. If you've got a question about the wallet, you're not sure about something, go through the official channels. Of course, we do have a help desk sort of channel in our Discord community where you can ask questions, but never, ever, ever share your screen with someone you've never met. And even if it's like, a moderator, that sort of stuff, just please be careful, because people will impersonate people and they will take advantage of you if they can. So just do your due diligence. And when it comes to really super, super, super sensitive stuff, and you really need help, use the official channels. There's a support ticket system on dash.org for a good reason.
Yeah, and so going back to the thing about through TeamView, and first off, don't, like, Discord is a chat. Why are you doing anything sensitive financial stuff through Discord? A big recommendation, and I've been on this train for a while, and honestly, Dash platform and usernames and all that are going to eventually solve this, so you don't have to use a separate service for all this. Keybase.io. Use Keybase. You can cryptographically sign and prove that you control or are behind certain social media accounts or things like that. And if you lose access to, say, your Twitter account, you can revoke your little verification sticker, say, hey, someone else is using that one. Verify through Keybase. If someone sends you a message asking for a deposit address or something like that, or put that into Keybase and verify, see if it's been tampered with, to make sure, just make absolute sure about all this kind of stuff. And generally speaking, if you're a masternode, if you have trying to get a masternode together or whatever, you shouldn't be sending anyone your money. No one. It's yours. You hold on to it. You don't just say, oh, let me send to this guy so he can set it up. No, you don't send him money so he can set it up. Don't send money to anyone. Generally speaking, keep very tight security practices. And I think it might be worthwhile to do a PSA in Reddit and Twitter and things like that about use Keybase to verify, don't trust verify, which there are, by the way, the official Dash Twitter account especially does this frequently, which says, warning, this could be a scam, always trust no one, blah, blah, blah. You can only repeat it so many times. Now, as far as, is there a trend of this happening from prominent community members? I've heard of a major case of this happening once, and I've heard a mention of it happening another time. Now, is it a trend? Is it like there's a lot to be verified before we, go into whether or not it is? But in the meantime, just be trend or not, don't let it happen to you. Be careful. Don't expose your private keys to stuff. Some people have criticized hardware wallets before, which I don't really understand because they're very secure. I don't know if there's always vulnerabilities and backdoors and stuff. But for the most part, it's the most secure way you can store your funds if you don't know what you're doing. I.e., this guy. I don't know how to properly air gap a machine. I don't know how to all this kind of stuff. I can try to make sure I have a secure connection. I can use VPNs. I can this and that and make sure not to I can do a bunch of stuff. But mostly I trust a hardware wallet because that's like the highest. That's a high level of security for my kind of knuckle dragging stupidity. So use a hardware wallet, hold on to it, use basic common sense. And if you're like, I don't know how to do this stuff, well, there's a bunch of security guys. Just look up, how do I secure my crypto? Just Google that. There's a whole bunch of ways you can do that. All right. Next thing.
I think people are mostly replying to that. The other thing I'll say is, as this was specifically about a masternode, there are solutions out there, and people should never have, even these masternode hosting services should never have access to your crypto, because most people hosting, or especially that substantial amount of Dash, they're keeping it on a hardware wallet, and that you only need to show the collateral address so you can prove that you hold that 1,000 Dash. And if you use a solution, for example, like Allnodes, there are others out there, but Allnodes, setting up a masternode, I think they've got the average time to set up on there. It's like 1 or 2 minutes. And kind of going to dox myself a little bit here now, because someone was mentioned Moo in the chat. And I've hosted a node with Moo before, and I never had to share my screen with him at all. In fact, he gave email confirmation. And also, in terms of communications, he always encouraged that I use Keybase to verify that it is him. And that was from the very initial inception email. Of course,
yes,
if someone's imitating him, of course, they're going to say share a screen and stuff. But I think in terms of emails and that sort of stuff, and hosting providers, there are plenty of options out there. But yeah, never give anyone access to your funds. Like, these are non-custodial solutions. Keep hold of, like, don't trust anyone, right? So in that sense, I mean, I wouldn't trust anyone. I wouldn't trust anyone with the details to my bank account, that sort of stuff. So yeah, be very, very, very careful.
Yeah, and there's another comment that reminds me of when I got rid of my bank account. Was just had a storage place charged my debit card twice for more than $200. Told it would be 3 to 5 days before I could get my money back. Can't wait to ditch cards. Yeah, I had to pay, I believe. This is so people don't realize how much of a struggle bus I was riding, trying to live all off of Bitcoin back in the day and all that kind of stuff. My my rent was somewhere around $600 a month out of some room, and I had like $800-900 in my account at best when it came rent time. And one time I went there and I had a minus $1,000 balance. I'm like, oh crap, where did that happen? Someone imitated my identity and basically just scrawled on a piece of paper, like on a check. They just said like, oh yeah, it's someone just found a way to copy a check that they found or something. And so then I had to spend days to just get that restored. And for security purposes, they had to close the account. And they said, you want to reopen one? I'm like, no, and haven't had a bank account since. So I definitely resemble that comment. Generally speaking, the more things you can pay with crypto, the better. I would just say that, and especially with Dash, because instant and secure and private. Another PSA, you're buying stuff online with crypto, use private send. Download the Dash Core wallet, sync the whole blockchain. I'm sorry, you got to do that, whatever. Mix your funds, mix everything, and then just keep it mixed. And then whenever you're going to buy stuff online, open up that wallet with your pre-mixed funds and go use private send, because they can trace. So for example, you put your email and your shipping address and stuff in. They have, I think it was Princeton University study was able to find that you could correlate your addresses with your identity and then be able to piece together how much total money you actually have.
Pretty cool. How are we doing for time?
I think it's getting close to time to quit.
Well, I want to ask you one thing.
Me or the community?
Well, you, because you've got much better insight into me for this. There was one announcement that we did this week at the start of the week about a Mexican exchange, CuboBit, and you was talking about remittances and stuff earlier. And I think this was such a huge, substantial story, because we've often been talking about Latin America. We had the Crypto Buyer CEO, and he was talking about was it OXXO stores in Mexico that he's going to be onboarding soon? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good little there will be options in. I didn't quite grasp the exact timeline of the exact thing, but you will supposedly be able to buy Dash by buying a little voucher from OXXO stores, which are convenience stores on just about every corner in Mexico. So yes, that'll be a big thing. Now I did look at you can use OXXO stores to fund your CuboBit account as well, which is interesting. But basically, the addition of extra fiat on-ramps to Mexico means that now you'll be able to send and receive Dash. You could be able to buy it in the US, send it to Mexico, and they'll be able to convert it to pesos to pay bills. Now, of course, the ultimate thing is to not have to actually convert, to spend it there. But what happens if a business is spending it and they have to convert somehow? Well, it looks like they're going to need an exchange. So what if, say, you hooked up, you had a point of sale system or whatever that instantly sent to your KuboBit account and converted to pesos and then got into your bank account there. Then all of a sudden you can only spend 1.25% to buy Dash in the US, send it to Mexico, and the recipient at no additional cost can go spend it. And then the merchant, depending on what processing fees are like, might be able to save some money as well. And then all of a sudden you can start onboarding lots of businesses in the country. And then you have a giant remittance quarter and you just shout it from the rooftops and there you go.
Regarding KuboBit, and I believe this is the first Dash to Mexican peso trading pair, question's been asked, do you think KuboBit's integration will encourage Bitso to also take action?
I certainly hope so. KuboBit's one of the more established exchanges in the country, but there's a few that are above it on that hit list. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
We've had Dash community members like Danny Sessoms talking with Bitso or reaching out to them, right? For a long time. And obviously Ernesto, our Dash Core Group BizDev lead for Latin America, I'm sure, would have been in conversations with them at some point. But like I have not heard anything in terms of that. But of course it's on the hit list, as Joel put it. Of course we want them.
Yeah. Now, as far as here's another one. Does Uphold eliminate bank transfer fees for other coins? We've been asking him to eliminate that fee, but was wondering if it was something that only Dash people were paying for. So first clarification, it's not a bank transfer fee. It's a Dash transfer fee to move it off the platform. Before, you would say buy $100 worth of Dash, you pay 1.25% conversion fee. So, you get, what is it? $98.75 in Dash back into your Uphold account. So you already got that little fee, but then to move it off, you have to pay an extra $3. So you get an extra hit just to move it off the platform. That's what they got rid of. Okay? That's what they got rid of. Now, we've been asking if there's something only Dash people are paying for. No, everyone paid that. I think Bitcoin still pays it, in fact. They removed the fee, I believe, first for XRP, and their XRP volumes were significantly lower than Dash's on the platform. So that might have been some kind of a deal. Who knows? I'm not going to speculate on why that was. Then they did it for BAT, or Basic Attention Token, for the Brave browser. And I believe Dash is a third one to have that eliminated. But if you're buying Bitcoin Cash, if you're buying Litecoin, if you're buying Bitcoin on the platform, you're probably still paying that deposit, that withdrawal fee. Now,
that's an interesting question.
What, the visualizer?
Yeah, there's two that I know of, but I don't want to, because there's been a few. I'm going to put a link in the live chat right now, listen.masternode.io, and that gives like noises and things like that. But one of the coolest, because you mentioned like Bitcoin Cash visualizer, like Highway, and there was the stress test one, which was created by My Dash Wallet. In fact, I'll post the link to that as well, which shows like aeroplanes moving past. I believe that is still active and running as well. And I think that's the closest to the Bitcoin Cash one that you're referencing. Mm-hmm. If you bear with me 1 second, I'll load up the website.
So it was stresstest.mydashwallet.org, but I don't know if it's loading right now. It might just not be supported anymore. But yeah, that was cool. It had the Dash Racer plane going flying by instead of the other stuff. So see if that loads for you. It's loading very slowly for me, but making no assumptions of how that's going to work out. So, all right.
There are other ones as well, but they're not springing to my mind right now. There was one where it like scatters out and stuff, which was really cool, but I can't think what it is. And of course, there was the 3D one with the coins the blocks coming down and the coins, which was really cool. I don't know if that's still active though. I think that was rocking the old Dash logo as well. So I've not been to that for a long time. But block chair for data is really good for Dash. I recommend checking that one out. Not in terms of visualization, but in terms of just looking at what's going on with
visualization, to be honest, in a lot of ways. But they did change their transaction, their format. Let me see if I can find a link. But I've always had a difficulty. I've always had a difficulty with looking at cryptocurrency transactions to like see like the input output hash in this, and I'm like, I can't understand it. So let me just check out one of them. They did like with the inputs and outputs and stuff. They broke it down into senders and recipients. So let me see if I can open up one of these. But it basically would just say, instead of like input output, which some people are like, Rrr. So senders, here we go, and recipients for like a standard Dash transaction. It like breaks it down a little bit more. It has sometimes if it's more than one sender, like a private send, you have like all these different like senders and then recipients. So it's easier to break down. It's a really cool service, but excuse me, it's not as visually appealing always. Yes, and the stress test thing seems to be working. The stress test visualizer seems to be working, although there's probably going to be very few Dash planes soaring past comparatively, compared to where it was before.
I've just found I know Joshua's done a couple in the past from the Dash Core team, and I found a link to his GitHub and one. Don't know if I should make it public. It shouldn't be a problem. It's public. So there's a link there, and that shows like an art board and stuff with like splatters for the transactions. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, visualizations aside and stuff, it's all about the hardline data. And if you are interested in data, what I'm interested in right now is the dashing in, aka the flapping in, because Dash, in terms of Litecoin, when you look at Dash in terms of active addresses and transaction count, Dash is like on par with Litecoin and going up and above it all the time. And when you look at the value of Litecoin and Dash and in terms of utility and value proposition, Dash right now, in terms of real use and activity and transactions and median transaction count as well, because it's lower, which means people are, actually using it for payments, right? More so than sending like big chunks of money and moving it elsewhere. So like Dash is being used, and I think that's a really big story. So for people that really care about utility and real use, just, we were talking about Bitcoin earlier, but just looking at Litecoin and Dash, just comparing those two and where they are on CoinMarketCap. But in terms of active addresses, transaction count, like Dash is doing phenomenal right now in terms of like use.
Yeah, it's growing. And when we're saying all this like phenomenal stuff, before people start saying like, fake news, I was looking at this, I was like, blah, 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 and it just doesn't, there's no more, but whatever. Look at trends. Right? Every growth is slow. Every growth is gradual. Every sustainable one, at least. And if you're looking at the trends, it looks like all cryptos that aren't Bitcoin are growing against it. Or not all, but a lot of the major ones are growing against it slowly and steadily in transaction counts and things like that. Also, it seems like the median value is going down. It's where there's smaller and smaller payments. And Dash in particular has had a very marked difference in this, and that it seems to be outpacing some of the other cryptos, particularly, let's say, Litecoin, in terms of growth. And also, I just checked Litecoin's median transaction value. It's like $107 or something, like a larger transfer. That's not a large transfer, but it's not like a little everyday payment type thing. So Dash is in that, like the actual median transaction value has gone way down compared to other coins. Almost all the other ones. Now, there has been a while when like Bitcoin Cash, for example, and Bitcoin SV, where the median transaction value is like fractions of a cent or like a couple cents or something, because it was mostly large transfers and a lot of like data-based or stress test-based transactions. So a big gap between those, whereas the Dash average transaction value is a lot lower than them. And then the median was a little bit higher because it was just more in the regular payment kind of zone. So of course data changes all the time. Of course you take a different weekly sampling and it's going to tell you a slightly different story. But if you look at trends, the trend is your friend, people. Healing is revealing.
Oh, there we go.
It works, not hierarchies. what is it? All value is corned beef. Anyway, all value is belief.
Can we, before we wrap up, can we talk about the Dash convention? I mean, that was the big announcement today, right? And this is a Dash event done by the community for the community. If you listen to the podcast last week, was it the week before? We had Fabio and Jan on, and we spoke about the Dash Convention Europe, and the website went live today. So you can get your tickets, you can check out the 3-day event, and it is dashconvention.com, all one word. In fact, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put it in the live chat right now. And there's some really interesting news, folks. Cointelegraph has been listed as a media partner, as well as BTC Echo. There's all kinds of cool things. There's a list of speakers. Some things may change. We may get other speakers come on, but already it's the event is listed. It's got a picture of my face on there. Hopefully Joel's going to come as well.
For some reason. Yep.
Excellent.
I should probably be coming.
Yeah. Get
me a speaking slot. I'll be on there. I won't be wearing the Stay Dashy glasses in my picture, but I will wear them at another point.
Excellent. Yeah, so please check that. This is a community event, and we're still taking back feedback as well. So although we did the shout out for the Discord, I'll let Joel say the URL later on. But in our Discord channel, we have a dedicated Dashtoberfest because on the 3rd day in Munich, we're going to Oktoberfest. So that's going to be fun. But there's a dedicated channel called Dashtoberfest. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or need help with advice with like travel plans and stuff, that's cool. There are detailed instructions on there in the FAQ in terms of locations and recommendations for hotels and stuff, etc. And of course, with the Dash community. So it makes sense to pay with Dash, right? So if you're looking at accommodation, there's Travala, right, which you can pay within Dash. And if you go to the correct URL, travala.com/dash, you get 5% Dash back. And if you want to get flights, you can go to cheapair.com and pay with Dash. Or as Joel pointed out to me earlier, there is the gift card route. And Joel, what would you say is the best route for gift cards?
So BitRefill, of course, has a few different ones. So let me, I'm actually going to bring up BitRefill as we're talking about. But if you go to giftcards.dash.org, because I always want to shout out the more strategic partners whenever I can. There's a travel section there, and there are a few limited options for that. But for example, if you can get to Europe on Delta or American Airlines, for example, I know you can't on Southwest Airlines, so I don't even care. Then look on their sites. If you can get a better deal or a similar deal to Cheap Air, Cheap Air, you're my go-to on everything. I'm talking to people who want to explore different options or maybe pinch those pennies. I'll probably just be using Cheap Air just because it's easy. You can possibly get a better deal there. Now, as far as BitRefill, right now, they do not appear to have the Dash discount anymore. But they do have a flight gift card, and they do have Air Canada on there. Again, random stuff. And if you go to dashnews.org, which you should just have that in your tab open at all times anyway. If not, it'll find you. Just saying. They under the buy gift cards with Dash thing on the sidebar, we put together some of the more common gift card sources. You also have coin cards and Bidali for gift cards. Go check those out. See what you have with see what kind of options you have. See if you can find a cheaper thing. This is if you just want to save time and energy with everything. Cheap Air, buy your flight and your hotel room with Cheap Air. If you just want to be as simple as possible. If you want to Travala, if you want to, anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Those are some options. But if you're not coming to this Dash conference, are you even crypto, bro?
Well, look, there's so many options. And look, I really enjoyed the Dash
conference.
Supposed
to stay Dashy, not just pretend to be Dashy.
Exactly.
When you're listening to us talk.
And in the London conference in 2017, I had really good time actually meeting the community, mingling, networking, and putting at that time Slack names to faces was really interesting. And actually, the most fun part for me wasn't actually the speakers and the announcements. It was actually meeting the community and saying hello, because that's what it's all about. And sadly, in 2018, we didn't actually have an event. 2017 we had 2 events. We had the open house event and the London conference, but 2018 we didn't. This is a community-based event that's been organized. I would like to give a special shout out and thank you to Jan from Dash Embassy DAC, and also Fabio from Bitterlo, who've been instrumental, and also Martin as well, who's been instrumental in getting this website up and running. Please go to if this does interest you, go check it out. There's only 49 days to the event. The event is between the 28th and 30th of September. The first 2 days are in Zurich, Switzerland. And then the third day is in Munich, Germany for Dashtoberfest. I'm really looking forward to this. And it is first come, first served. On the actual conference event main day on the Sunday, which is the 29th, I believe there is something like 120 tickets available, or it says 100 tickets now. So, okay, so get your skates on if you want to come. I want to meet as many of you as possible. And if you are a DFO or a masternode owner, there is a co-working day on the first day.
Explain that, Mark.
Oh yeah, Dash funded organization. Sorry.
Yes.
There you go. There's too much Dash lingo.
You're probably not a Dash funded organization. You probably work for one. If you form part of a Dash funded organization or a project working under the Dash Decentralized Autonomous Organization, also known as a DAO.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with this, because most events to date have either been organized by Dash Core Group or by utilizing third parties such as Keynote and getting like PR firms and stuff off. This time it's been on the ground. This has actually been set up by the community for the community. Dash is a community-led project, as I always say, and we control our fate and destiny. And the strongest asset Dash has is the community itself. So even if you can't attend, you've still probably got great ideas and suggestions, so get involved in the channel. Check it out. Check out the speaker list. We've got some pretty cool, interesting partners attending as well. And yeah, any questions that you have, please direct them on. There is a contact form on there as well. There's an FAQ about the locations, travel arrangements, but there's a speaker lineup for all 3 days. Sorry, the third day being Dashtoberfest. So I think there's going to be a lot of drinking, so probably not so much talking on that part. But yeah, I really hope to see as many of you as possible. This is what like I got in Dash 4, the community, right? So this is our chance to shine. So I hope to meet many Europeans, fellow Dash Europeans there, but also internationally as well. So please don't wait.
Enough for you? I mean, I'm of European descent, almost all of it, and I used to live in Europe for several years. So
yeah, so
honorary European.
If you're coming, you're honorary VIP, and I'm sure you'll be sitting at the front right next to me.
Honor VIP.
Yeah. But yeah, so please check this out. I don't want to beg too much, but like, I really want to make important. This is really important to me personally for the community, because when I talk to people about Dash, although I believe we're technically superior and the best payments digital currency solution out there, I always say our community is our strong point, and I want everyone to be involved in this. And the amount of partners that have got involved, like this website's been created over the last couple of days. This is what happens. This is people power. This is passion. This is what Dash is about. And there's probably going to be more partners and speakers yet to be announced. But the fact that media partners are jumping on straight away, obviously Dash News is a media partner because both myself and Joe will be there. But BTC Echo, the biggest crypto publication in Germany, and Cointelegraph. I'm sure more information probably come out about that soon. But honestly, you're going to want to be there.
Which, by the way,
be there.
Let me just sit back before I do the call. Just sit back for a second. And I remember late 2015, I was dissatisfied with what I was doing. I decided I'm going to live entirely off of crypto. So I said, if something pays me in crypto, I'll take it. If it pays me in fiat, I won't. I'm just going to do this hard line. And I had no idea what I was going to do. And bills were coming up soon. It was a crazy, stupid thing to do, but that's why I'm here. And I reached out over the Christmas vacation. Like, I reached out to Cointelegraph, cold emailed them, says, hey, you're looking for writers. I had never done journalistic stuff before. And they answered, and my first piece was published right around Christmas. And since then, I've been that was my glorious introduction to the living off of crypto thing. And then after living out for Cointelegraph, Evan Duffield at the Dash Open House, I was still working for Cointelegraph, but a Dash fan, and I just was trying to interview him. I was like, hey, can I get some quotes, whatever? He just was not interested. He just said, you should start a newspaper funded by Dash. I'm like, I guess that's what I'm doing. So then we started Dash News, and how humbling is it to now, on the marquee as a media partner next to Cointelegraph, is our own project, Dash News. It's pretty huge, isn't it, Mark?
Pretty special. And yeah, it's been one hell of a journey. And that's what I said. The best thing is actually getting to meet you people. So it's worth the fee. What is it, like 20 Swiss francs for the actual event itself, which is like peanuts. It's nothing. I mean, this is me. This is Stay Dash. Oh, sorry, 30 francs. I see the website now. But I mean, it should be at least 50 francs. This is Stay Dashy. No, I'm just kidding.
Should cost half a node.
But like on a serious note, obviously they've got to pay for the space and everything else, and there are sponsorships for Genesis Mining, and I'm sure there'll be other partners yet to be announced as well. Fingers crossed. But this is really important. And when, for example, there was a Lightning Network event like announced recently in Berlin, and I think they're charging people like $200 a ticket or something like that. And I see all these community events like Steam has Steam Fest and all this sort of stuff. This is like the power of Dash. So I'm really hoping to meet some of you. I'm meant to be hosting, emceeing the event, introducing the speakers, giving the intro. So you get to meet me, and I hope to share beers with many of you, whether you're a Dash community member, whether you're new to Dash, even if you don't hold Dash. And if you're a master node as well, I'll be very happy to talk to you as well. But
yes, of course.
There will be Dash Core Group team members there as well. So even aspiring developers, there's something for everyone. So please do get involved.
Yes, and I will be viciously working out to try to fit into my old suits, so I'm not just such a bloated nothing on stage or whatever. But it's going to be a great time. Now, remember, we have an audio-only version of this podcast. A lot of people are doing visual stuff, but I know some of our faithful listeners are listener-only. Tomorrow, there's a post that comes out recapping the podcast and has the audio only links, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, etc. Go do that. Now, you know that you don't want this to be over. Mark didn't want it to be over. We're carrying on forever, and yet it's still going to keep going for a little while because there's something called the after party. Mark and I talking smack about anyone. This is a little bit more of an interactive podcast than most times because we've actually encouraged people to jump into the live chat and ask us questions about anything. And they did. But still kind of at a distance. We still kind of our show with like input. Join our show. There's something called the after party, which is just like this, except it's not just two of us. It's all of you guys who want to come in. Thanks to Jitsi, which we use, you can fit a whole bunch of people in there. So go to staydashy.com. Oh, I see him typing it out. Wait for it in the live chat. There it is. So staydashy.com gets you into the Dash Talk Discord, which is our little place of congregation. And while you're there, go to hashtag Dashtoberfest and check out all the stuff going on. But also just start asking out, hey, where's the after party? Can I get in the after party? I want to do after party. And one of us will plug you in, and it's going to be a good old time.
Excellent. We can always...
Chuck, we're not going to leave you space in the after party because we don't need to. You can fit no matter how many other people are in, probably.
Absolutely. So yes, so please join us. If you are watching this live, come into the Discord, Dash Talk Discord community channel, staydashy.com. And yeah, just say, hey, where's the after party? I will keep an eye out for you. And then I'll send you an invite link. And yeah, and we talk about anything, everything Dashy. So please do come. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell if you want to be alerted about future videos from the Dash News YouTube channel. There you go. Joel's just subscribed and signed up for notifications. So he's done it. You got no excuses. It's Friday night where I am on my side of the pond. I hope everyone has a fantastic, Dash-tastic weekend. Stay safe, stay happy, but most importantly, stay dashy. Have a good weekend, everyone. There we go.
Wow.
Take care.